So where are we headed?
We are heading to what I've called Drainpipe Falls, which is near Victoria on Vancouver Island, in an attempt to get a shot like this. So off we go, chasing waterfalls on the rainiest day of bloody January. Now, Vancouver Island has thousands of waterfalls, and the trick is knowing when to visit. Now, I'd been to this one many times recently, but the water level was just never quite right. And on this day, I could feel it in me giblets. We would get the shot. With this video, I'm going to show you how I capture texture and detail in my waterfall images. This technique could help you to create more dramatic and inspiring images that show the true power of water. I always enjoy showing somebody a new place for the very first time. Look at Brent's face when he lays eyes on this waterfall. Full photogasm. And you can't blame him. Look at that business. So
what do you think?
That is the kind of flow that I was hoping for.
Oh, great.
So that shot that I got before, it was a lot less water volume. And at the time, all I was thinking was, I could just do it a little bit more, and this is it, it's perfect. So let's get in there and get it. People often ask me why I moved to Vancouver Island, and this right here is just one of the many reasons why it's such a beautiful place, even in the darkest depths of January. It's not often that Brent gets that excited about a location, so it was kind of funny to watch him totally nerd out over this.
That's awesome.
So we've made it to Drainpipe Falls pretty easily, no disasters just yet. The water flow is perfect, I've never seen it like this, so we're two very happy bunnies right now. So let's get into the meat and veg of this video, and that is how to capture as much texture and detail in the water as possible. First of all, let's look at the raw files and talk about the camera settings that I decided to use while I was shooting. This first exposure was shot with an aperture of f8 for great depth of field and maximum sharpness on that particular lens, and I used a long exposure time of 13 seconds. So this is a very overexposed frame. My next frame was shot at 2.5 seconds, which was the shutter speed that the camera was recommending, the light meter in the camera. And even though the light meter was telling me that 2.5 seconds was ideal, it's still not fast enough for me to capture water detail, because as you can see, the water is just a mushy white blur. So I decided to shoot a couple more faster frames, even though I knew they'd be underexposed and quite dark. The next frame was shot at 1/4 of a second, which I achieved only by opening up the aperture to f2.8. I would have much preferred to have stayed at f8, but it was getting dark and I needed as much light as I could get. And even though it's clearly underexposed and quite dark, you can see it captured much more detail in the water. And finally, for the next frame, I went for an even faster shutter speed of 1/6 of a second. And this is the one that I'm going to use to blend with the first overexposed frame, so that overall we get much more dynamic range. Step 1 is going to be processing the overexposed image. And even though the water in this image is completely smoothed out, all I really want from this image is everything but the water. I might choose to keep a few parts of the silky water movement, but for the thicker sections of water, I'll be getting rid of that mushy white stuff. I'll open this in Adobe Camera Raw and bring down the exposure slightly. That's the first thing I'll do. Then I'll brighten up the shadows by about +18, and then brighten the blacks to about +8. And I'll also punch the color vibrance up a little bit to about +8. And then I'm just going to hit open image to bring that into Photoshop. Step 2, processing the underexposed image. And the first thing I need to do is increase the exposure, and that needs quite a lot of brightening up. This brightens up the image, but it also kills some of the detail in the brighter sections of the white water. And I'll fix that by pulling the highlights down to about -27 and the whites down to about -17. And then I'm ready to just hit open and bring that into Photoshop. Step 3, I'm going to stack and align the layers in Photoshop. I can easily stack the overexposed image on top of the darker image by clicking in the Layers panel and simply dragging it to the tab for the underexposed image. And Photoshop will drop a copy of that layer on top of whatever's already there. And I'll align the layers just in case there was any camera movement in between shots by making sure that both layers are unlocked. And then I go to Edit, Auto Align Layers, and I'll just go with the default Auto Align and just hit OK. But as you can see in this case, nothing really happened because there was just no misalignment in between shots. Step 4, selectively erasing the overexposed water. So if you look in my layers panel here, you can see the overexposed shot is on the top layer and the underexposed shot is underneath that. All I'm going to do is use the eraser tool, which you can select here, and I'm just going to erase through that. So if you see me erase here, you can see it reveals what's underneath. Now I'm just going to undo that and make sure that the opacity of my brush is at 100%. And what I'm using is a soft brush, and the size of the brush depends on the area that you're erasing. So for now, I'm going to use a slightly larger brush by hitting my left and right bracket keys. Left is small, right is large. So I hit the right bracket key and that creates a much larger brush. So that erases a bigger area. Now I'll reduce the brush and get in a little bit closer to these rocks and fine-tune this process a bit. And I'm constantly changing the brush size. Now, my top tip is to use a brush size that is, let's just undo that one. I kind of liked that. Use a brush size that's a little bit larger than you think you might need. Because if you use a really small brush size, like if I'm doing this, you'll see that halo edge around the rocks there. So that looks kind of rubbish. So let's undo that. And I'm going to use a bigger brush. And I'm just going to very selectively just brush in and just erase parts of the water that are just kind of boring and just pure white to reveal those more interesting parts underneath that have a bit more texture and detail. And you don't have to do all of it. So for example, these parts up here, I kind of like those. I'm just going to use a bigger brush there and just kind of dot in and take out the less interesting parts. Same over here. Let's get a smaller brush. A brush into there. Smaller brush there. And just take your time, enjoy the process. This is an enjoyable experience that you don't need to rush. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Now, another thing you can do is change the, as I showed you earlier, the opacity defaulted to 50. That's because I was practicing this earlier. If I go back to 50, the effect of erasing through these layers is not going to be as dramatic. And for this section of the waterfall here, that's probably going to work better. So let's get a slightly bigger brush and just erase through there. There we go. To blend that better, I'm going to go for an even bigger brush. I'm just going to take out this whole section up there. There we go. That blends far more smoothly. And lastly, with our final step, we're going to fine-tune the blending. To make the two layers blend more seamlessly, I'm going to make the overexposed layer slightly darker. So I'll choose Image, Adjustments, Brightness Contrast, and I'll set the brightness to about -38. I can also brighten up the darker exposure underneath slightly so that it gets closer to the brightness of the overexposed layer on top by going to Image, Adjustments, Shadows, Highlights, and then I'm going to set the shadow amount to 3%. So this results in a nice flat looking image that has great dynamic range with lots of texture, detail and motion in the water. And this gives you a great starting point to begin the processing of your image. So that's it. That's basically how I capture more texture, more detail and more drama in my waterfall images. From this point on, how you decide to process your waterfall images is entirely down to you. To get the finished product that you see here, all I did was a bit of dodge and burn. I changed the contrast in certain parts of the image and just enhanced some of the colors. But for your own waterfall images, you'll probably do something completely different once you've fixed the motion and texture in the water. Depends if it's a waterfall of a forest or a desert scene. It's entirely down to you. If you enjoyed this video, it would be awesome if you could hit that subscribe button, give us a like, help me get this channel off the ground, and please let me know how I can make these videos better and what you'd like to see in the future. So that's it from me, Gavin Hardcastle at phototripper.com. Thanks for watching. See you later.
So Gavin here had some gastrointestinal distress and proceeded to drop his drawers and use some of our tickets to... oh,
You're my hero.
it was so disturbing to see that.